right. Hello, everybody. What's happening? It's Geoff Keighley. I haven't streamed on Twitch in, I think it's been 4 or 5 months since Game Awards time, but we're getting ready for Summer Game Fest this week, so I thought I'd clean out the pipes and make sure that everything is still working. Here on Twitch, we have our big live show on Friday. Summer Game Fest will be kicking off a big weekend of video game fun, and I got a few minutes here, not a ton of time, but I did want to stop by and maybe answer some questions and chat with you a bit about what we're doing for Summer Game Fest this year. I'll just give you kind of a general overview that Friday we have a big live show from the YouTube Theater in Los Angeles. It is our 5th year of Summer Game Fest, believe it or not, but only our 2nd year that we are doing it from a theater with fans, because this was really birthed in the COVID pandemic back in 2020. So I'm very excited that we'll be in front of fans. We'll have lots of great game developer guests with us on stage. We'll have a big 2-hour live show that'll stream right here live on Twitch. There'll be a Twitch drop that we'll be announcing. The show is open for co-streaming, so if any of you guys also have your own channels, we'd love to have you co-stream the show. It's open for co-streaming for Twitch creators as well. And it's going to be a show that will really give you a preview of a lot of great games that are coming out in the future. As I said, we'll have guests on stage. We'll have lots of trailers and, looks at games for what's coming in the future. So we're excited about that. And then that really kicks off a weekend of a ton of events. There'll also be the Day of the Devs showcase, which showcases a lot of great indie games. We'll have some awesome indie games in the main show as well. But the Day of the Devs show will be happening right after us on Friday, and then the Devolver Direct. So there's sort of 3 things back-to-back on Friday. And then Saturday, there are a bunch of great showcases as well happening. There's the Future of Play. There's the Wholesome Games showcase, which I'm excited about. The Latin American Game Showcase and Women-Led Game Showcase. So those are all happening on Saturday, so you can watch those streams. Sunday is the big Xbox Game Showcase featuring the Black Ops 6 Call of Duty Direct. So that'll be happening on Sunday, and we'll be streaming that here. And then Monday is Ubisoft Forward, that will have Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows and other games in it. So it's kind of a big sort of 4 days of streaming. And if you want to see the schedule, you can go to summergamefest.com. You can sign up for alerts. You can add events to your calendar if you have Gmail or Outlook or whatever you use to schedule your life. You can add that in, and it will allow you to really see kind of what's happening as it's happening. And we'll be streaming pretty much everything, I think, here on Twitch, and I'm excited about that. And as I said, it all kind of kicks off on Friday with our live show. I put up a little trailer today that I edit every year for all our shows. It's really a passion project of mine to kind of get us in the mood for this summer video game season. And I thought I'd show that to you. You may have seen it already on social media, but I'm going to run that here if I can figure out where I put it in OBS. Oh yeah, here we go. So I'm going to run that trailer, and then we'll come back and we'll do some Q&A with you guys about the show. There's no big announcement coming in here of some world premiere or something. It's really more just talking about the show, but I'm happy to kind of give you some context on why we're doing Summer Game Fest, what to expect in terms of kind of, the experience for you as a viewer and things like that. So happy to answer questions about it. But anyways, let's take a look at the trailer right now.
I can fight things I can see.
Yes.
Things that bleed when struck with a spear. I'm lost here.
Just this once, I'll give you something special. I'll grant unto you the sweetest of dreams.
I don't really like fighting very much.
Believe in your own destiny.
Patience is the key, Master.
Scenes like these are happening all over the galaxy right now.
You too want to be an immortal? From this moment forth, thou art arisen. I can feel the hatred, but I cannot feel the source.
What's your plan, knowing you have only 66 days to live?
Ready yourself.
If I want to survive, I have to play their game.
Your hopes were always doomed to fail.
You have to fight until the end.
Everyone wears a mask. You too!
I felt as if I was awakening from a years-long coma.
Night Springs, a special place, a shifting space.
And now you're back to me. So that's the little teaser that we cut together. It wasn't meant to necessarily announce what's going to be in the show. That was a highlight of a lot of great games that have come out in 2024 and some coming out later. But it kind of, I love editing that because it gets me in the mood for the big live show that we're going to do. Used a great song, Lords of Feeling by London Grammar. I was appreciative of them to give us the rights to do that and put that trailer together. So that's kind of a little bit of just a mood piece, really, because I really love these summer video game events and have done them for really my whole life. I started going to E3 when I was a kid. I was, I think, 15 years old at the first E3 I went to back in 1995, where that's where the PlayStation was first shown in America, and it came out later that year. So I loved going to E3. It was such an amazing part of my life growing up, and now that E3 is no more, the video game event space has changed a lot over the years. And we, of course, have a great event at the end of the year that we do with the Game Awards that you guys so kindly watch and support. But we're trying to build something new in the summer, and it's been a journey over the past 4 or 5 years to kind of build this up and create something new and different, but very much focused on like the digital streaming audience. And it's been really fun to sort of see how it's kind of continued to evolve and will continue to evolve. We're not fully there yet. I know sometimes people always say like, they miss E3 and, why isn't E3 around? And like, I miss E3 too. It was such an amazing experience, and this is a different experience, but, the video game industry has changed quite a bit over the past few decades. And I'm happy that we still do have something in the summer. We'll do this show. We'll also have a show in August that we'll do at Gamescom in Europe. So we'll be coming over to Germany again on August 20th for a big live show there at Colmesse in front of the fans. So those are our two big summer shows, and I think it's going to be a fun year for games. It's a little bit of a lighter year release-wise, right, compared to last year when, boy, this time of the year last year there were so many great games that had already come out, and everyone's kind of debating what was going to be up for Game of the Year. This year, it's going to be interesting to see what gets nominated for Game of the Year at the end of the year, right? And hopefully, in the summer time is usually when we get a lot of release dates for games that are coming out in the fall. Fall frame, which ends up being kind of September, October, November. A lot of big games still tend to come out. So in a couple of weeks, we'll probably have a better sense of what the rest of the year is going to look like. But then there are surprise games that come out of nowhere, like something like Power World that, lit up earlier this year and was a huge sensation. Did incredibly well on Steam and Xbox. We'll have actually a big update from Power World in Summer Game Fest on Friday. They'll be giving fans an update on kind of what's next for that game, which we're excited about. I know people always ask, and I'll get some chat questions about, what's being announced or will this company be there or whatever. There's some things that we've shared about the show this year. Some of the games I think you've probably seen. We're really excited that the team from Atlas, Sujima-san, and Hashino-san will be here to tell us about Metaphor Refantazo, which is their next title. We're excited they'll be joining us. We've also announced that Ryozo Tujimoto-san from Capcom will be on stage with us to share an update on Monster Hunter Wilds. You probably saw new trailer was released last week during the PlayStation State of Play, and we'll have more footage and more news to share with you guys on that title as well on the show. And you'll see a lot of game developer guests live on stage with us. We're I don't know how many the total number is. I think it's over 10 that'll be kind of with us and sharing updates on their games and things like that. So we're excited to have guests with us, and lots of games to showcase for you kind of across the board. This is it's an interesting time for the industry, obviously, and it's been a challenging kind of past year really for the industry with everything that's been going on and the layoffs and studio closures and and honestly even so far this year it's been a little bit quieter for big game releases. But what's exciting is that I think there have been a lot of new games that have new studios and new games that have kind of surprised us. I mentioned Power World before. I mean, Supermarket Simulator did great on Steam and all these other kind of crazy games. So one of the things you'll see with the show this week is that we really tried to program some unexpected things from smaller teams, independent studios into the show as well, alongside some sort of big, blockbuster games and franchises that you will see in the show as well. But I think that's what's cool about our industry right now is that it's a great time where small games can really, get significant success that we've seen, and then also, if they're big games that will be coming out, and everyone's excited about seeing those. I think it's going to be generally, a little bit quieter this summer in terms of like crazy new announcements and shocking surprises and things like that. And that's one of the things that I always see online, all the crazy speculation. Just like, last week with the PlayStation State of Play event, people had crazy expectations. And, I walked away really excited about the Astrobot game, which I cannot wait to learn more about. I haven't had a chance to play it or see it, but that trailer was incredible. But I think people have, lots of expectations, and I see all this stuff with, even around Summer Game Fest, and I think it's going to be a good, solid show. But no, we don't have a new GTA 6 trailer or something that we're going to drop for you. And I know sometimes when I see the feedback online, people have lots of crazy things that they get excited about, and hopefully we deliver on some of those things, but I'm sure many things we won't. And it's always just good, I think, to go into these events excited about what's going to happen, hopefully show some games that you will discover for the first time, right? I always feel like with these events, sometimes we go into them and, we know we want to see game X or game Y, and we want to see more on that game, or we want to see the sequel to this game or that game. Oftentimes I'll see people online will cite games that don't even exist or aren't even in development. But yeah, I would love to see that game too, but it doesn't exist. But hopefully what happens with these shows is that people tune in and you find something that surprises you and says, I didn't even know about this game. I want to go wishlist this. I want to learn more about it. And that element of kind of like discovery and curation is something I think is really important for all these kind of showcase events. So, hopefully there are things that you're excited about that you see more on, or you see something new and surprising, but also just like that element of discovery I think is so key. So we work really hard to kind of have a show that has a lot of big games, but also smaller games, mid-sized games, and you guys will be the judge of what you're excited about or not. But I think it's going to be it's going to be a fun time, and I really love that we do this show live in front of an audience and fans. That's really important to me as well, that it is a truly sort of live experience. So we all get to kind of experience this both in the room but online together as we all watch this together. I get to see some of the trailers already, but you guys get to see them for the first time on Friday. So the show is going to stream here live on Twitch Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and 10 p.m. in London, 11 p.m. in Central European summertime. So I know sometimes also people complain that, Game Awards is so late in Europe, and I apologize for that. It's just sometimes we kind of have to do that event a little bit later in the evening, or at least late afternoon in Los Angeles. But this one we are doing earlier. It's on a Friday. I know that's another thing that people often say to us. It's like, why do you do your events always on Thursdays or Tuesdays? Because I got to work the next day. So Friday, it's Friday night. So we're going to be interested to see how that does sort of viewership wise, and hopefully allows more people kind of, especially in Europe, to be able to kind of participate live. I know some of you guys are probably in Europe right now, and it's, I don't know what it is, 1 or 2 in the morning. You're probably watching this anyways. But anyway, so we're going to try and do it in a way that is a little bit different this year, with the timing of it being on a Friday afternoon here in Los Angeles. So we'll see how that does. Let me grab some questions from the chat, and maybe we can talk about some stuff. I usually use that featured chat thing on Twitch, and it's like shut down. I know lots of stuff has been kind of shut down, unfortunately, in the world of Twitch, but that was a great way to get fan questions. So now I'm just going to have to scroll through questions, and there's lots going on here, so hopefully I can see them, but I'm going to kind of scroll back a little bit. And if I don't answer your question, like maybe ask it again or something, because I don't have a way to sort of tag them. All right, so Captain J Ford says, what's the most difficult part of putting together an event like this? Well, there are lots of things that go into it. It's really just kind of putting together the content and the games. And, what's interesting, especially in the summertime, is that, we have our show, but there's also an Xbox show. There was just a PlayStation show. Nintendo's announced they're doing a direct at some point. So, what's interesting is our show kind of has to live alongside a lot of other shows. So there's a lot of kind of negotiating and kind of working with all our partners to figure out how things are all going to fit together across all the shows. And it's sometimes a hard thing to figure out how it all works together. But I think we found a good plan this year. But that's always just, really just figuring out the games. And, you've heard me probably say before, we don't make the games. So we always kind of hope that there's some good stuff to show people. And some years are better than others in terms of announcements and surprises and things like that. So that's always the hardest part because I care passionately about trying to make a good show for everyone. So the hardest part is really just kind of trying to put together the games and the content and work with everyone to figure it out. And sometimes there are things you really want to be there that aren't ready to be there, or they're, times when something will surprise you. Like we got a trailer in last week for one game, and I was like, wow, this looks really incredible. I'm so proud of this team that they really pulled through and built something amazing. So it's challenging, but it's also really rewarding when everything comes together for the show. So great question. Let's see. Hey, Geoff, TGA Awards next year will have more screen time for awardees. Yeah, we'll be talking more about TGA a little bit later this year, but obviously we heard lots of the feedback from people around that, and I don't want to kind of spoil plans yet, but yeah, obviously there'll be lots to share about our plans for Game Awards this year. It's our 10th anniversary show. It's going to be a very, very special show, and we'll let's get through these, and then we'll talk more about what we're doing there. But absolutely, we're always evolving that show, honestly. And with all these shows, I think one of the things that I'm really proud of our team is that we're kind of constantly retooling and rethinking kind of all aspects of all of our shows. And look, we're never going to make everyone happy. Just like, the Game Awards, there's always a debate between, how many awards versus how many announcements and that kind of back and forth. I always say we're never going to get it right. It's going to, one year it'll be too much in one direction or too much in another direction. But we're constantly thinking about that stuff with all of our shows. So yeah, it's a great question. And we're working really hard. Not only on Summer Game Fest, we have the Gamescom show I mentioned, and also Game Awards. So all three of the shows are very kind of an active production right now, and we already have a lot of games that we're working on for announcement at Game Awards and things like that. Sometimes those ones especially, can take up to a year sometimes to put together some of those moments. So there's lots going on behind the scenes, which I cannot talk about today. Let's see. Are you able to give an approximate time of how long the opening event will be? It'll be about a 2-hour live show on Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific, and then Day of the Devs and Devolver Direct will be after that. Day of the Devs, I think, is another hour, and Devolver maybe is about a half hour. So that'll be, you can keep watching all of those, but the main live show is probably around 2 hours in length. Good question. Let's see. How long will Summer Game Fest go? So Summer Game Fest is contained into really this kind of weekend this year. I remember years ago when we first started it, it was across a whole summer. And even though it was the middle of COVID and it was crazy, everyone's like, it's too long. I want everything to be compact. So this year it will start on Friday, and then we'll wrap up on Monday. And there's also, beyond our live show, there's also something we do in LA where a lot of media and content creators will come to LA. They'll get to play a lot of games, go hands-on with games, and they'll be kind of covering and reporting on those games all throughout the weekend as well. So there's the show, but you'll also see, I think, a lot of like impressions and gameplay, and even probably some streams from some creators around some of the games that get announced and showcase new content as well. Let's see, Geoff, will you be in Fortnite? I was in Fortnite last year when we did our Game Awards Fortnite map, but I'm not like a skin you can buy. I don't think that would ever happen, but who knows? If someone from Fortnite's watching, give me a call. Let's see. Any music acts? No, there's no music. And it's a good question. There's no music in Summer Game Fest. It really is very much kind of about games and developers and trailers and things like that. So yeah, no bands, no orchestra. We'll save that for the Game Awards. It's really more about games. But good question. How many games will be shown about Ask King Humus? I don't know. It's always hard when we get into numbers because then people start to, guess and like how many announcements are there and how many games. It's hard to say. There's a lot of games. In this show, they're kind of shorter moments on a bunch of games. It's not like one game we show for 15 minutes or something like that. It's really, it's a sampling of a bunch of different games across the industry. So that means there are probably more games as opposed to fewer. But it's a really, really eclectic mix of games across the whole industry. Let's see. Yeah, Yeah, so will there be any indie games? JSWE Leo asks. Yes, there will definitely be games. We actually have a couple games made by single creators that will be in the show on Friday, which I'm really excited about. And we have a lot of independent games. You'll see Day of the Devs is filled with independent games as well. So yes, it's really important for us to have independent games be a part of this show. And we will also have the Wholesome Direct on Saturday with indie games. So there'll be a bunch of indie stuff. So yes, if you love indie games, it'll be great. So then, yeah, lots of people are asking about certain games and titles and things like that. Yeah, I always see the Silk Song stuff with Team Cherry. Love those guys. I think it's going to be a while, but they're an amazing team, and I'm very, very excited about that game as well. And yeah, I said everyone's going back and forth about all these different titles, what's going to be there, what's not. Hard to really... once you get... It's a hard game to play, because once we get into denying stuff, then people are like, oh, well, he didn't say no for that, so that must be confirmed. And it's like... It's a bit of a whack-a-mole when you get into that world. So we have a list of partners that are up on the website. If you want to check summergamefest.com, sort of the first 50 are there. There's some more that we've kind of been piecemealing out and announcing along the way. There are also some other partners that will be in the show that didn't want us to necessarily kind of pre-promote that they're going to be in the show, just because I think sometimes it can create crazy expectations and whatnot. So we'll have but that's a good look if you go to summergamefest.com, see sort of a lot of the companies that will be present in the show, and there will be other companies, but obviously there's 50 companies that will be involved in that, and they're also involved in all the Summer Game Fest activities. So Summer Game Fest is not just the 2-hour show, and that's one thing I think that's important to think about, is that there's a big Xbox show on Sunday, Ubisoft has their event on Monday. There are lots of indie showcases. There are lots of games that will be hands-on in a media event that happens in LA. So there are things that are going to kind of be spread out across the whole weekend. And I know you guys will judge Summer Game Fest based on our 2-hour show, but it really is like this entire weekend. There's a lot of video game stuff all coming together in Los Angeles next weekend. Let's see. What is my favorite E3 or Summer Game Fest reveal of all time? Hella plus. I'm trying to think. I mean, the Elden Ring first look at the actual game at Summer Game Fest 2021, I think that's right, was really, really amazing and special, and I'm really indebted to From for supporting us with that reveal. And that was when Summer Game Fest was, an idea I had in this very room, in the middle of COVID. And then the next year I was like, let me try and build this. And From was willing to give us the first look at the gameplay of Elden Ring when they could have done that, on a first party platform stage or on their own. And I'm always indebted to Miyazaki-san and the team at From for supporting us with that. So that was really special. In terms of my favorite E3 reveal of all time, wow. It's hard to say. I mean, I remember the PlayStation 3 reveal press conference was pretty crazy back in 2005, I think. That was the one famously there was a Killzone trailer that everyone thought was CG, and there was a EA Fight Night Round 3. This is dating myself, but it was about 20 years ago. That was a really crazy, amazing press conference that I remember. I was just wowed by the visuals of that. And there have been, amazing moments. E3 was, again, I miss it dearly because there were some really amazing press conferences and reveals back in the day. But that's one that definitely stood out to me. Let's see. If Astrobot is successful, do you think you could see a return of franchises like Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter? I hope so. I love those franchises. Astrobot looks so fun, and I cannot wait to get a chance to check out that game. And yeah, I love all those, franchises. And I will say Sony, historically has been pretty good about supporting a lot of those franchises and having more kind of family-friendly content as well. Ratchet and Clank's another example, something that, they've been continuing that on for 20-plus years of that series. So I would love to see, new games in those franchises as well. So yeah, I hope so. And one thing that I've always thought with Sony, but also with Nintendo, it would also be cool to have independent developers starting to build games and things like that based on some of those franchises. Probably harder with Nintendo because they're very strict about their IP, but I love the idea of those franchises coming, continuing to evolve in different ways. So maybe you're not going to get a $200 million Sly Cooper game, but maybe you get a fun, $200 2D side-scrolling one or something. I don't know. I think there's like a lot of fun things that could be done with a lot of different franchises. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. And there's, we're not announcing any of that stuff, but or I don't even know it even exists. But it's like those ideas I think would be cool. I love a lot of those legacy franchises, and certainly Crash has been amazing to see how Crash has continued to evolve. And I think the Toys for Bob, which made the past couple Crash games, are an amazing studio. I think they did a great job. Like Crash 4 was a really fun game that I loved. So I hope we see more of that. Let's see. How many gameplay trailers at Summer Game Fest? Good question. I think we have a lot of gameplay in the show. There are some CG trailers as well. It's just kind of a mix of things. So it's hard to say. But yeah, there's definitely, a fair amount of games that you will see that are very playable. It's important for us. I know like a lot of the games. Just thinking through the show now, a lot of the games, like you will see real gameplay of those games and stuff like that. So one thing that we've tried at all of my shows, even the Game Awards, is like even when we do CG trailers, I always try and push the game studios to show a little bit of gameplay at the end of the trailer. You might remember, like we did, I think Jurassic Park last year at Game Awards, and it was like great CG piece, but at the end I'm like, let's show the game, and they showed the game. So whenever possible, we try and get studios to be able to show the the game, because great kind of CGI trailers can set the tone and the vibe of a world, but you really want to see it. So when possible, we ask people to do that. Doesn't always happen, but it's definitely something we think about. Let's see. Oh yeah, I see lots of people keep asking about Kingdom Hearts. I don't know why. I think because we did Final Fantasy Rebirth last year or something like that. But yeah, it's people are setting themselves up for failure, but it's you guys can keep hoping. Let's see. Will SGF have a healthy amount of narrative adventure games? It's a very specific question. I'm trying to think. Do we have story? There are story-based games. It's hard. The thing is with genres, you say adventure game. It's so hard now with the different genres because, like, we go through this with Game Awards. Like, what's an action game? What's an action adventure game? What's an RPG? All kind of blurs together. But yeah, there definitely be some, I think, cool, single-player games in the show if that's what you're really thinking about with stories. And we have, we'll have some live service games will be a part of the show as well, obviously. That's a big, lot of more than half the playtime of games these days is with a lot of those live games, ongoing games. But yeah, we definitely have a lot of kind of cool story-driven things as well in the show. One game that I'm super excited about, I don't know if you guys saw the trailer for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 a couple weeks ago. It came out. That was one of the best trailers I've seen in a while. And we have new stuff on that we're showing. It's another great trailer that we have on that game. So that's one of those games that you just see the trailer and it just grabs you. It's like just beautiful. And if you haven't watched that, watch the reveal trailer for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 from Warhorse. Really cool trailer. Anyways, so that's a narrative, which is kind of an adventure game, a little bit of an action game. But anyways, it's one that just pops to my mind. Let's see. How do you feel about the 1 year where you only had zombie games and space games? Yeah, I remember that. I think that was 21 or 22. And yeah, we just had a lot of sci-fi space games. Look, we try and, curate the right mix of stuff. Like, will there be zombie games in the show this year? Yes. Will there be space games in our show this year? I'm trying to think how many spaceships I've seen. I'm sure there is a spaceship somewhere, but I don't think. Yeah, there was 1 year where it was a lot of Mars games and things like that. So yeah, hopefully it's an eclectic thing, and we think about that, right? We want to have some family-friendly stuff, some mature stuff. One of the things I'm most proud of with our shows is that they are true multi-platform showcases. So we try and show something for fans that only play on Steam, only play on console, only play on Switch. It's like mobile even. It's like, how do we sort of tie all that stuff together in some way? So we think about that. We don't always, it's not always perfect, and we're only as good as some of the games were pitched. And there are also lots of games that we just can't even fit in, unfortunately, because we have, so many games that we want to get through in the show. So it's a good question, but I don't think we're overly spacey or zombie-y this year, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Let's see. Anything? Oh, yeah, Wolf Among Us 2. No, we put some screenshots up a little while ago on that, but there's nothing planned for that at Summer Game Fest. I don't know. breaking hopes and dreams here. Let's see. Does DLC ever get announced at Summer Game Fest? I don't know. I think so, and we're not opposed to doing DLC stuff. So yeah, if the right game and the right DLC, we totally would include it. Actually, we do have a cool DLC thing we are doing. So yes, there will be some cool DLC announced at the show. How close to the actual show do you allow developers to add their games to the show? Well, that's a good question. We've been full on Summer Game Fest for probably about a month or more. And things always change, right? Because sometimes trailers get a little bit shorter, a little bit longer, or sometimes people even drop out because they're not happy with their trailer or not ready. But generally, even like Gamescom now is not till August. We're pretty much done with that. We kind of know what's going to happen. And again, things will shift around. But yeah, planning is, it's not something where, people can email us tomorrow and be in the show on Friday. We're pretty set in terms of what the games are, but it's a good question. And things do shift around. But I mean, we're already, as I said, like even Game Awards now, we're already working on games that'll be coming out, in December as part of that. All right, sorry, I got to catch up on all the chat here. The Batman Arkham VR game that will be at our show. Monric OW. Yeah, we'll have a look at details on that. We've announced that. So that's if you haven't seen it, the Arkhamverse is continuing as a Meta Quest 3 exclusive VR game. Camouflage is making that. Ryan Payton, his team, and yeah, we will have that. We've announced that, so we can talk about that. Here's an interesting question. Does SGF often feature games that were planned for TGA but not ready in time? Not specifically, but there are things that move around between our shows for sure. And sometimes, honestly, even the Elden Ring gameplay reveal, that was, I think, originally going to be at the Game Awards, and then it got moved and changed. And yeah, look, teams aren't always ready when you want them to be ready. And that's the thing is, we would love this stuff too, but just teams aren't ready, and then it's usually worth the wait. So Elden Ring, remember, there were years of where's Elden Ring? What's going on? We haven't seen anything. And then finally, they were ready. They dropped an incredible trailer. They dropped the Game of the Year winning game, and then we all move on. And so sometimes it is it's hard to wait, but then when people deliver, and when they do deliver, it's worth the wait. So, yeah, things definitely move around between all our shows all the time. And believe me, everything you're asking for is probably stuff I have emailed or asked directly to a developer. And most of the times they're just like, hey, we're just not ready to share anything yet, or we don't have the trailer to give you. So it's not like it's sitting on a shelf somewhere and they're like, let's wait 6 months. It's like, they're busy making the game. That's one thing now is that, games are so complicated and so hard. It's hard sometimes to really have a trailer ready to show, and we'll see. But and I think there's a trend now of not doing 12 trailers for a game. It's kind of like show a trailer or show 2 trailers and then release the game. So sometimes it's nice to kind of wait and then surprise people. So again, every year's different. Every game is different. Let's see. How many world premieres are we getting? I don't know. Hard to say. How do you get a job and work in these types of events? Asked Default TWH. Well, I've done it my whole life. I started as a video game journalist and reporter when I was a kid in high school. I wrote for video game magazines, and then I wrote for magazines and mainstream magazines, like a magazine called Entertainment Weekly, which is no longer a magazine, but still a website. So I covered games for them all through kind of high school and college. And then after that, I started hosting stuff. I hosted a show called Electric Playground, which was a video game show made in Canada that also aired in the States. And then I started working at G4, the TV network, at a college, and I was a host there. And then I moved to Spike TV and MTV and hosted a lot of video game shows there for about a decade, and worked on something called the Video Game Awards. And then from there in 2014, I kind of broke off on my own, and powered by platforms like Twitch and YouTube. We built a new company that was all about streaming big events, and the first one was Game Awards. And then we added in Gamescom Opening Night Live, and then we added in Summer Game Fest. And those are sort of the 3 events that we do every year. So that's kind of the history of how I got to where I am. In terms of working on these shows, if you're asking how can people work on them, Depends. I mean, we're a pretty small, tight team. We don't have like tons of open positions, but their production roles, right? Like the cameraman and the directors and the set designers and things like that. And then there are people that just work on like the actual, game content as well. But those are sort of the two worlds of people that work on our shows. So bring back Flute Guy. Hopefully we'll see him at Game Awards. I don't know what Pedro's doing. I think he's on tour. I follow him on Instagram. I think he's on tour right now with Hans Zimmer in like Dubai or something like that. Busy guy, but yes, we love Flute Guy, so I would love to see him in December. Remind me, we should probably hit him up and see if he can save the date. Here's an interesting question. Zik7U8 says, why do companies like Sony and Xbox prefer to do their own shows? Well, it's an interesting time in the industry, and as we've seen, like games moving across more platforms and things like that. But I think historically, E3 was, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo all doing these sort of big press conferences and having these kind of really like head-to-head battles almost, right? The press conferences were like hours apart. We did this on YouTube for years where we'd run the press conferences all one day, and you'd like start with Sony in the morning and Microsoft would be at night, and it would be very competitive. And that was kind of what E3 was. But I think now that we move into more of a kind of multi-platform world where games tend to ship on multiple platforms, especially PC and console, one of the things we've really been proud of is our shows reach gamers across all platforms. And I think, but still, there's a sense of, those platforms want to, it's really like represent their brand, right, to their players, of sort of, what they're doing and build momentum, right? So that's the reason they sort of do those shows. I think both internally, kind of build morale and excitement, and also to kind of position, the platform and show the strength of the excitement, right? I mean, a lot of gaming is based on the future potential, right? Of you're excited about what you're playing today, but also what you're going to play in the future. So I just think it's like a brand building exercise for those platforms, as well. And oftentimes, they jockey for partnerships with games, right? Of like who's the partner with this game, and we've all seen that. Where remember like Cyberpunk was at the Xbox event, or Monster Hunter was at the PlayStation event last week, right? So sometimes a lot of these companies, take pride in kind of having a partnership with one game that a different platform doesn't have. So I think it's just historically kind of what's happened, and obviously at the end of the year at Game Awards, everyone comes together and we're really proud of that. But yeah, the summer kind of time frame, everyone tends to do their own shows. But what I love is that it actually allows us for this show to do things that are with a lot of independent studios and games that are across multiple platforms, and the first parties as well can participate if they want to be a part of these shows. And we've had good partnerships with Microsoft and PlayStation. We've never really had Nintendo be a big part of Summer Game Fest yet. We always hope that there'll be the right year for them to kind of come in and get involved, but hasn't happened yet. But yeah, so I think everyone kind of just has their own playbook and plan. And honestly, it's kind of good because there's so many games out there. We can't do everything in our show. So I always say that, it's nice to have a couple announcements from companies, but, it's nice to spread things around across different places, because, look at like Microsoft. I mean, when you add up Xbox, Bethesda, Blizzard, Call of Duty, they have so many games. I mean, they kind of need their own thing to kind of like support all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's an always evolving, landscape, especially in the summertime. And we all sort of do different things, but it is, I think it's a perceptive question, because Summer Game Fest is, not just our 2-hour show. It really is the sort of whole time period. So, that's why when sometimes people say like, oh, E3 is contained in these 2 hours, I was like, it's not. It's really kind of spread across, all these events. And we don't lay claim to those events. Those companies are doing those events, but we try and bring everyone together, so the audience can sort of have a journey through all these announcements. But great question. Let's see. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hyped are you for Summer Game Fest? Oh, I'd probably say an 8 this year. I think it's going to be cool. There's actually a lot of, there's some really great games that are going to be playable next weekend in LA, for press and content creators. And I'm very excited to go hands-on with. So yeah, I think there's going to be some fun stuff. But again, expectations are always so high that I don't know what a 10 out of 10 would be. There was a Game Awards a couple years ago I was really, really excited. I can't remember. I thought that. I was like, this is a 9 or 10 show. But I tend to think most things are in like a 7, 8 range anyways. Do I remember taking a picture with Buttons, the cat puppet, at E3 2014? I do remember Buttons. Yep, I remember Buttons. And I also remember Marcus, the puppet from Mega 64. You guys know Mega 64? Anyways, moving on. Do I already know some of the reveals that will be at the Game Awards in December? Yes, I do. Am I going to tell you them? No, but we're working. And I think things can change, but we are working on a few things, which should be fun. Okay, scroll through more here. Any chance for a Def Jam game? That would be cool, like Vendetta or something coming back. Not happening at Summer Game Fest, but that would be cool. Any Muppets? No Muppets at Summer Game Fest. Hopefully at Game Awards. Should we do more Muppets? What do you guys think? We've done too many Muppets? Not enough Muppets? Should Muppets host the whole show? No Muppets at Summer Game Fest. Save them for Game Awards, maybe. Although we don't have that planned out, so I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see. Okay. Any badge or Twitch? Yes, there will be a Twitch drop for the show. Stay tuned this week. We will have news on the Twitch drop. What is the ratio between cinematic trailers and gameplay trailers? I don't have the math for you on that. So hard to say. And again, it's always, it's hard because like cinematic trailers, like to me, is that like a pre-rendered CG trailer? Or is that like an in-engine Unreal trailer with a cinematic camera? So it's like using the game engine, but it's not gameplay, right? And it's always like so hard of how you wordsmith that stuff. I mean, sometimes like, I think even last year Xbox was like, everything was like in-game, I think they said. And it's like, was to some degree, but a lot of it was like rendered or, frame dumped, or it's just so hard to say. So, we'll see. I think it's a mix, I would say, in our show. But I don't have a ratio for you of that, unfortunately. Let's see. Fluke Guy is TJ only. Yeah, no Fluke Guy at Summer Game Fest. Let's see. Will we see Kyle Bossman at all? Kyle will be here. I don't know if he will be on camera, but Kyle, if you come to the live taping of Summer Game Fest, there are still a couple tickets left. A YouTube theater. I think Kyle will be out there like doing the warm up or build up for the show. So Kyle is involved in the show behind the scenes, but I don't think he's on camera this year. But love Kyle. Will Metal Gear Solid Delta be there? No plans with that title at Summer Game Fest. Yes, but Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Yes, you will see Dragon Ball at the show. We've announced that, so stay tuned for an update on that game from our friends at Bandai Namco. Do you feel you and the team of SGF, VGA, or TGA are filling the shoes of E3 now? No, I think the world has changed and evolved, and I'm proud that we're able to build kind of events that I think represent where the industry is going and are more focused on streaming and digital and more inclusive of fans all around the world. But no, E3 was so special and so different. I mean, I miss the magic of that, but it's the industry just changed in such a big way. And I always believe that you need to show up and build new things, and it might take, 10 years to get to where we need to go. Look at Game Awards. Like when we started that, it was really nothing, right? I mean, we had support from everyone, but it took us 10 years to really get to where it is now. I mean, Summer Game Fest, we're half that time. So it's going to take time to build up to those things. But I always think it's dangerous when you sort of say like, this is a replacement for that or filling the void of that. You're going to have to carve out your own path, and it's different, and it's I don't know where it's all going to evolve to. Maybe things will change around in the next 5 years. I don't know. But I'm proud that the industry, I think it's important to have these events, and that was the thing that really scared me, right? When Spike, when we decided not to do the Video Game Awards, I built the Game Awards because I thought it was really important that we had this big end of the year anchor show. And when E3 was clear that it was on the path to being canceled, I said, "Oh, we need to step up and like build something new, so everything doesn't just scatter all across the map." Because this time of year is still really special. Like every June, that was like my favorite thing all summer was like, oh, E3 week, I can't wait. So I think it was important to sort of try and hold things together to some degree, because the other option is just nothing happens and then it's just a bunch of YouTube videos. And I still think there's magic to this time of year. But it's different, and it will change and evolve and will take a long time to sort of find its new form. But every year we show up, we learn, we retool, we rebuild in partnership with all the game companies. And we're really proud of what Summer Game Fest has become for the industry. And we don't sit around a lot and think about things that don't exist anymore, because they don't. And you need to kind of hopefully build the new normal. But it takes time to sort of figure out what that is. But it's a good question. It's something we think about. Do we allow co-streaming of the Summer Game Fest showcase? Yes, we do. You can co-stream. So head to bit.ly/SGF24 co-stream, I think is where, but you can sign up. There's a forum, or check on our social media and you can sign up to co-stream. We'd love to have you. Let's see. Do I have a nice pair of shoes picked out for the show? I don't yet, but I need to. I'm going to work on that this week. Will there be many new reveals or just updates on announced games? Asks Point Pontiff Sully Wan. Hope I said that right. There will be definitely new announcements, but the show is largely focused on, I think, existing games that have new updates for fans, just in terms of like level setting. Game Awards has a lot of usually big surprises. We're thankful for those and big new reveals. This show is it's largely focused on announced stuff, and there are absolutely new game announcements throughout the show, but just to level set, it's not all brand new stuff. It tends to be things that are, coming out later this year. And there are things that, we will announce that will come out later this year that haven't been announced yet. So there definitely are things being announced. But this is not a show that has a lot of coming in 2026 or 2027 or, teasers for games that are years and years out. So yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, every time is different. But yeah, I think that's generally what I would say, just in terms of expectation setting. Let's see. Are there going to be any giveaways? I don't think we have any giveaways this year. We gave away a bunch of Steam Decks and Legion Goes, as you remember, at Game Awards. Maybe we'll bring that back. But yeah, no giveaways during Summer Game Fest this year. Yes, we're doing a Twitch drop. Will we get any games launching the same day as they are announced at Summer Game Fest, like Shadow Drop stuff? I think there is some Shadow Drop stuff happening. Trying to think if there's stuff that's happening very close to the show. I'm trying to think if it's happening actually live during the show or shortly after. But yeah, there'll definitely be some cool stuff happening in the next couple weeks, I think, game related. It's always hard when you try and Shadow Drop something live, because then there's the risk of stuff leaking or whatever. So I don't know how that's all working. But yeah, there's definitely some stuff that'll be happening in and around. It's a cool month. There's going to be a lot of good stuff happening. All right, I got to go in a second here, guys. But let's see. Fight Night Round 3 was awesome. Wow, I'm way behind on chat. We're still talking about Fight Night Round 3, which I talked about like 20 minutes ago. All right, let me quickly scroll through all of this. No Judas update. Yes, about Ken Levine. I'm very excited about Judas, but no, nothing on Judas coming this week. If you want to... Someone asked, do I have to apply to co-stream Summer Game Fest? You can co-stream it. We're not going to shut you down as a content creator if you're just doing kind of your own live stream. But if you apply, you can become an official co-streamer and get the badges and things like that. So totally up to you. And I think it also helps sometimes with us when we're doing some of the clearances and Twitch drops, just to kind of know who's co-streaming. But yeah, we'd love to have you co-stream. Let's see. What are my thoughts on Sega's announcement of them reviving their old franchises from last year? That was a killer announcement. I was very, very excited about that with Jet Set and Golden Axe and Shinobi. We had been talking to Sega for many years about that initiative. And when they said, hey, we want to announce it all together, like it was 5 games in one trailer, I was like, oh, this is so cool. Because normal companies would be like, let's just do one, drip feed. Like, one, you do Shinobi at Game Awards. It's like, let's come back with Crazy Taxi at Summer Game Fest. And they were like, let's do all 5 together. So that was super cool. I'm very excited about those games. We don't have any on them at Summer Game Fest. I think it's going to be a while till those legacy titles are ready, or I don't know when. But it was really cool. I was very excited about that announcement. Let's see. Show will be about 2 hours. What non-reveals are you excited to show? So existing games. Well, we've talked about some of them, right? Like Dragon Ball will be there. Metaphor. We've talked about Monster Hunter. I'm very excited about that. Ryozo will be with us live on stage, so that'll be cool. And there's a bunch of stuff we haven't talked about. I mean, most of the show. I'm trying to think. There'll probably be some more stuff teased this week. To telling you about some of the games, but yeah, there'll be a lot of good stuff. Any thoughts on what happened to Beyond Good and Evil 2? Your guess is as good as mine. I have not heard much about that game in a while. I hope it still comes out. But yeah, that's been a long. When was the last time we got an update on Beyond Good and Evil? I want to say that was like 6 or 8 years ago or something like that. Love to see it. Let's see. Do I ever get to try games early before SGF? Yeah, I do. Sometimes I get to play stuff. I actually just played the game in our show, Neva, which is a beautiful game from a studio in Barcelona called Nomada Studio. They did a game called Grease that won Game Awards years ago. Really beautiful game, and we're showing the first gameplay of that. I got to play through a bunch of that game on Steam. They gave me a code, and it's like I was blown away. So yeah, sometimes I do get to play stuff, and it makes me even more excited to get to show these games to you guys in the show. So yes, sometimes I do get to play things, and then sometimes I don't. I ask, and they say no or whatever. So it's harder. What day of SGF are you most excited for? Well, I'm excited for all of it, honestly. I'm excited for our show, selfishly on Friday. I think the Xbox show I think Xbox is going to have a good show. I mean, they have, I said all those companies coming together. They kind of do one big show a year, and they've obviously we know Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is in that show, but I would imagine we'll see stuff on, like Indiana Jones that they said I think is coming out this year. Like I imagine that will be in there, and then there are lots of rumors of other things that they will show. So I'm excited about that. I think that's going to be a pretty weighty show, just in terms of especially from the Xbox studios, right? Because they haven't shown a lot in a while, so I think that'll be good. But I also I love I talked to the early parts of the stream about that element of discovery and finding new games, and I'm very excited to watch some of that. I was just watching actually the Wholesome Direct that's airing on Saturday and Day of the Devs, and they're really great shows, and you discover new games and learn the stories of the developers and who these are, and I think that's one of the important parts of utility. The utility of what we do is that we actually help people discover new games, and I'm very excited just for those, and not that they're kind of shocking announcements that will leave your jaw on the floor in Day of the Devs, but it's really cool, awesome games and creative games and interesting concepts that if you love games like I do, and if you're watching this, you probably care a lot about video games. You will get a chance to hopefully discover games as part of that. So I'm kind of excited about it all, and it all being kind of compressed into this weekend. I think is really special and cool. All right. I keep saying I'm going, and then I just keep scrolling. There are more questions. There will be a Twitch drop, Build-A-Bear, Twerk Shop. We'll announce that this week, I think, at some point. Devolver Digital will be there. The Devolver Direct is airing on Friday. It's Summer Game Fest, Day of the Devs, and then Devolver Direct. So they're all together. Five Nights at Freddy, will they be in our event? I don't believe so, but we do. One thing that's going to be cool is Blumhouse Games. Blumhouse did the film. We're going to be announcing some really cool stuff from Blumhouse Games as part of the show as well. So I'm excited about that. They have a gaming division, which they haven't really talked much about, but stay tuned for that in our show. All right, guys, I'm going to do another quick scroll, but it just keeps going, and I got some work to do. Yes, we're going to show the Among Us animated series that will be featured in the show. You guys are paying attention to it all. I like it. Okay. Sorry, guys. I see so many questions. I've answered some of these. So I'm just trying to figure out. Oh my God, I could stay here all night answering questions. Will Sega have a presence in Summer Game Fest? Yes, Sega is involved in Summer Game Fest. We have a One More Thing this year. No, not really one of those shows that has sort of like a one more thing. Our shows don't typically have that. I know that's like a very custom kind of traditional kind of E3 press conference-y kind of thing. But Game Awards, we don't really have a one more thing. We end with game of the year. Gamescom, we don't have one more thing. We just have we obviously think a lot about sort of the first and the last game in the show and what to do there. But no, it's not like you think the show's over and then it's like the lights darken and Gabe Newell walks out to announce Half-Life 3 or something. So be cool, but not happening on this show. Let's see. Will Joseph Ferris be there? No, Joseph will not be at Summer Game Fest. Although I love him. He's a good guy. All right. Oh my God, this chat keeps going. All right. Oh my God. Sorry, guys. I think I was like, I'm probably an hour behind on the chat. Anyways, guys. All right. I got to go. I got work to do, but thanks for hanging out with me. I'll try and come back maybe this week to do stuff, although we got a busy week prepping the show. But again, to wrap things up, Summer Game Fest is happening on Friday this year, Friday, June 7th, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. CEST, live right here on Twitch. So join us for the live show from YouTube Theater. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you get excited about all the games that are coming in the future. Thanks for hanging out. And I'm going to leave you with our hype trailer for Summer Game Fest. If you haven't seen it already, hold on. I got to find it. Sorry. SGF 24 hype. This is why I have a whole team that makes a show, so I don't have to sit here and click things. All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Hype trailer. Commence.
I can find things I can see.
Yes.
Things that bleed when struck with a spear. I'm lost here.
Just this once, I'll give you something special. I'll grant unto you the sweetest of dreams.
I don't really like fighting very much.
You need only believe in your own destiny.
Patience is the key, Master.
Scenes like these are happening all over the galaxy right now.
You too want to be an immortal?
From this moment forth, thou art arisen. I can feel the hatred, but I cannot feel the source.
What's your plan, knowing you have only 66 days to live?
Ready yourself.
If I want to survive, I have to play their game.
Your hopes were always doomed to fail.
You have to fight until the end.
Everyone wears a mask. You too!
I felt as if I was awakening from a years-long coma.
Night Springs, a special place, a shifting space.